Britney Spears a Janet Jackson impersonator? Lizzo seems to think so. In a recent clip that set the pop music world on fire, Lizzo gave her perspective on the princess of pop. Here is why I said Janet is the queen of pop, Lizzo said. Britney Spears is doing a Janet impression, and she said it. Janet is her diva. There were no such things as pop divas before Janet. Janet was first. She was famous when Madonna was a kid watching her on television. And I'm just putting it out there. It's not because someone is better than the other. She was just first, and she is Janet. Make no mistake, Janet has been very influential on Britney, especially her performance style. But Britney is still her own entity and has her own legacy. Songs like Baby One More Time, Oops, Lucky, Give Me More, Piece of Me are quintessential Britney. No one else could have done those songs. Like, yes, there is an overlap, and there always will be with someone who has influenced an artist. But with all of their similarities in presentation, Britney and Janet are still pretty different as artists. And while their music might visit the same territories on occasion, they definitely reside in different places. I think reducing Britney to being a mere copycat is not only unfair, but false. But at the same time, we can't understate Janet's influence here. I'm not sure if it was Lizzo's intention to just dismiss Britney, but it came across that way. Britney also had her own imitators when she first broke through. But I do think it's important to acknowledge that 90s teen pop as a whole is indebted to a lot of 80s R&B, especially the New Jack Swing era, from New Edition to Janet, and then of course more contemporary styles from Michael and Prince to even balladeers. There's a clear lineage there for 90s teen pop. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you also have people like Madonna, Debbie Gibson, Tiffany, who also helped make a lane for these artists. Also, can we stop acting like Britney was not influenced by Madonna at all? She literally has a song and performances with her. That's the biggest tribute you can give to someone who you're inspired by. I also think when you listen to Britney's discography, you can hear the influence of both Janet and Madonna. I think a lot of Britney's debut album also leans into R&B, just with super pop hooks, but it's really just an R&B album. It's like a teen version of Madonna's Like a Virgin, Janet's performance style, and Michael's staccato cadences all thrown into a blender and delivered with a very clean pop pristine. At the same time, I will reiterate this, Britney Spears is an icon in her own right. I do think her music differs a lot thematically and sonically from her musical influences, for the most part. Obviously, there are songs like I'm a Slave for You which screams Prince and Janet in terms of vocal delivery, production, and the music video, but there's still so many songs and aspects that feel so distinctly Britney. As far as the rest of Lizzo's statement, it is just completely false. Lizzo says, there was no such things as pop divas before Janet. Janet was first. There was Diana Ross, there was Cher, there was Tina Turner, there was Donna Summer, there was Dionne Warwick. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Aretha Franklin, just some of the names that are rolling off the top of my head. There's no need to just outright lie. Like, we can say Janet Jackson is hugely influential, but we don't have to rewrite history to say that. Even the most famous icons have people that blazed the trail for them. She then says she was famous when Madonna was a kid watching her on television. Madonna is 8 years older than Janet, so she definitely wasn't a kid watching her on TV if she was watching her at all. Also, Janet was not a pop diva at the time she was on Good Times. Her music career hadn't even begun at that time. And her Control album, her artistic and commercial breakthrough, happened in 1986. Madonna happened in 1983. Madonna had already done her self-titled debut album, Like a Virgin, and was gearing up to release her most successful album ever, True Blue, by the time Control came out. Madonna was already a megastar. Funnily enough though, someone Madonna was watching when she was younger was Janet's big brother, Michael Jackson. Michael and Madonna were born in the same year and in the same month. MJ was a point of reference for Madonna and she wanted to be as big as him. So much so that she sought out his manager to manage her. And within the conversation of influence, Michael Jackson is obviously owed a lot of credit. He is the one that really blazed the trail for Janet and Britney and had a large influence on Madonna. The king of music videos, his performance style, the high gloss and intense choreography is a career model that his younger sister adopted and added a distinctly feminine touch to it. And there's also the influence of Prince and the Minneapolis sound. Then on the female side, there are people like Diana Ross and Donna Summer, two people that I think go greatly understated, but they are true originators and broke so many glass ceilings. I say all of this to say, everyone is influenced by someone, and it's usually more than one person. It doesn't mean an artist is a copycat of another, but it also doesn't mean you have to disregard the influencer and the one that paved the way. People discrediting Janet Jackson is not appropriate, and people disrespecting Britney is uncalled for. I feel like when it comes to debates like this, everything is talked about in absolutes. There's literally never any nuance. So I don't feel like Lizzo was speaking from a point of fact, just a point of admiration, and she can feel how she wants to feel. I ultimately don't think it's that deep, but it can come across brash, and I think Lizzo enjoys sparking some type of controversy in conversations in this vein, because it's been a recurring theme for her. There's always going to be some level of heat when artists are compared to each other, especially by someone in their field. What really grabbed me though is the rant she went on about her music and its perception a few weeks prior to this Britney thing. It was interesting to say the least. In a series of tweets she said, "Saying my brand of poptimism doesn't work in a post-COVID world is a lazy take. As if I didn't release About Damn Time post-pandemic. As if I didn't write About Damn Time to be a post-lockdown anthem to inspire us to get outside and together again, and was successful at it, by the way. Some people saying my music is too optimistic would have been real mad in the 60s at James Brown and Motown. Still Bad is a breakup song with the world. It literally starts with me saying, I'm about to throw my phone away. It's a call to action for the negativity we experience on our phones and how we need to disengage and recenter. The girls that get it, get it." I think seeing and hearing a black woman make real music with radical joy triggers miserable people. But I follow in the footsteps of Janet, of Funkadelic, of Earth, Wind & Fire. Nobody's doing it like me for us, and I stand on that. Imagine listening to Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, and saying it's too optimistic. Imagine listening to Hey Ya and saying it's too poppy. What Andre say? Y'all don't want to listen, y'all just want to hate. Aretha and Whitney got backlash for being too pop, and they kept going, and so will I. The way this world treats black women is sickening. Blacklisted Janet, and now 20 years later y'all calling her music cute black girl bops and giving her flowers. Dragged Whitney for her love life and called her a drug addict for laughs, but now y'all want to honor her. Y'all laughed at Tina's abuse and never let her forget, the least protected person in America. So, I think there's a lot to be said about this rant. First being, Lizzo's music is simply not interesting enough to be controversial or to warrant awe-inspiring generational analyzations. At best, it's well produced and well performed. And even when it comes to artists in more recent history, Lizzo's music isn't pushing the needle or being daring in the same way like someone like Beyonce has been doing for a while now, for example. That's not to say Lizzo's presence as a black woman in pop should be disregarded. She obviously worked hard to achieve the success she has. But at the end of the day, it's the music that will keep or lose people. I don't think there's anything wrong with her saying she's following in the footsteps of these artists. I think the issue is when she insinuates that people should have the same admiration or reverence for her work that we do for Janet's, Whitney's, James Brown, Earth, Wind & Fire, when with all due respect, her work is paperweight when compared to them. And I wanted to highlight some positive songs by these artists. Shining Star by Earth, Wind & Fire, if the word triumphant was a song, it would be this one. It has a killer hook and it has a real sense of soulfulness. Together Again by Janet Jackson. Beautiful, it is state-of-the-art dance pop and so inspirational. And then of course we have songs like You Give Good Love and Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston, where her vocals are the song. I mean, she's Whitney Houston after all. And then James Brown, we have Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, a song made to empower black people during the intense time of racial injustice. All of these positive songs range from polished to raw, but they have a sense of realness. It doesn't merely sound like Target background music. Lizzo has some good pop work under her belt, but I don't feel like she's done anything worthy of comparing herself to these artists. It's like, yeah, Lizzo has said some empowering statements about black people. Like in her song Rumors, she says, "This shit from my soul, yeah. Black people made rock and roll, yeah." But are we supposed to pretend that this demands the same praise or reaction as someone like Earth, Wind & Fire or James Brown? Even more so due to the cultural context in which their music stems from. Meanwhile, Lizzo begins this song by saying how she hasn't fucked Drake yet and how she had to get people to sign NDAs over an instrumental that sounds like it would make a back-to-school Target commercial proud. This is not music that stands alongside those greats. And I think Lizzo's just virtue signaling and coming across very entitled. Like, you must like this because it's a positive song. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Now, I'm not saying Lizzo's positivity isn't worthy of praise at all, because when she gets it right, she gets it right. But her music has often succumbed to toothless corporate empowerment slogans. If you want to be in line of comparisons with these artists, and if you want to be respected like these artists, then it needs to show in the product. Yes, people like Janet and Whitney faced unfair scrutiny, but at the same time, their music at their height was still received well and has stood the test of time. And I don't feel like Lizzo is oblivious. I think it's such a cheap and tacky way of deflection to use our icons to come up with a straw man argument. More than anything, the issue is not her positivity, but that she's been retracing the same steps with bland production and sometimes outright bad and ham-fisted lyrics. You are Lizzo, you are not James Brown, you are not Janet, you are not Whitney, and I know I gave a detailed rebuttal, but I really feel like her arguments can simply be debunked by saying that. You are Lizzo, not James Brown, not Janet, not Whitney.